We're doing it live. We're doing it live. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back on YouTube. I didn't know I was going to be back on YouTube because the last YouTube video I made, they deleted, and I was only able to save it as an audio file. So I didn't save it right away. So now I have an audio file of my last video, which you haven't seen because I'm not allowed to say certain things about certain institutions connected to the United Nations. And anyway, so we're not going to talk about them. Instead, we're going to talk about defund the police. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to take left-wing talking points and use them for right-wing purposes. That's my new thing. I'm going to take left-wing talking points and I'm going to convert them into right-wing purposes. So we just basically take whatever the White House and the entire institutional structure of the U.S. government says to do, we're going to promote that thing, but in a way that benefits us instead of them. That's the plan. That is the plan. I've been working hard. Been doing a lot of work. Been having a lot of enjoyable work days. Now I'm just tired, but I need to do some live YouTube here. So check it out. Check it out. Defund the police. Defund the police. That was a big thing that the Democrats and the White House and the CIA and the FBI, the Department of Justice were all promoting that we defund the police. So defund them. I don't care. Defund them all. See, this is the thing that happens. This is the thing that happens. The left comes out with an issue, right? And they're like, we're going to defund the police departments. And then the right wing's like, no, don't defund the police. We need the police. And then you have the whole Republican structure going, we're not going to defund those police. We love our police, and we're going to give them even more money. And then you're all, yay, more money, more money, more money for the cops. Now, I am not one of these people that think that there's no place or role for police, but I think they have a limited role. Because honestly, we could have no police. I mean, if there was no police, what's the worst thing that could happen if there's no police, right? Well, you would say if there's no police, there's going to be chaos, and then there's going to be riots. People are just going to steal everything, and people are just going to murder people for whatever reason or whatever they want to do. It's just going to be it's the thin blue line. The only thing stopping total chaos is the police. Really? That's the kind of people we are? We need constant police to keep us from doing horrible things? Is that really the state of human civilization? Because if it is, I mean, you really want to live in a society like that? That's how the people are? I don't think that's how the people are, honestly, actually. And from my experience, couple things. Number one, well, let's say there were no police. The last time I had this argument with somebody, I was working at an insurance company, and I was selling car insurance, and I think I was about 20-something years old. I said, we don't even need police. What do we need police for? The guy sitting at the desk behind me said, what do you mean we don't need police? He was like one of these people that was like, I don't know. I could tell he was brainwashed by something at the time. I didn't know what, but something. He said, what if somebody murders you? What if somebody murders you? Then what are you going to do? Well, I'll be dead. But if somebody murders me, then I guess the people that love me or that will avenge my murder, won't they? And they'll go find the guy that did that and they will kill him. Now, if nobody loves me and nobody cares about me, then I guess that's not going to happen. Now, that means that guy gets away with murder, right? Okay. And I don't know. I should have defended myself or something. You know what I mean? Like, I should have gotten myself in that situation, I guess. I should have been ready for an attack. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What do you want me to say? You know what? The police aren't going to do anything. The police can't bring me back to life. Oh, that's what it is. What if somebody murders you? What, the police are going to come and they're going to bring me back to life? So then what good is it if I'm dead? What good is it if I'm dead? What are the police going to do? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything. Now, what do the police do? The police do some. I'm not, if you're in the police department, that's fine. I don't have a problem with police, but if I call the police, actually, let me tell you what my problem with police are. Let me tell you what the problem with police are. Even Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It's really good. Really good stuff. That's a commercial. I want to get paid for that. I need to get a sponsor for this show. Let me tell you what the problem with police are. Let's say there's a group of perverts and they are harassing children. Let's say they're sexually harassing children, right? Now, you know what sexual harassment is? It's against the law, but not against children. You can, according to the law, there's no law against sexually harassing children. Did you know that? I do. You know why I know that? Because I was shocked to find out that if perverts are sexually harassing children and you call the police, they'll tell you there's nothing they can do, and then they'll think you're an asshole for calling them. That's why I know that. That's why I know that. Because I don't know if you know this, but like way back in time, if you've ever seen InfoWars, they did an article about a guy with demon horns, and this guy, I'll just say this: he's got demon horns, and he's wearing a dress, he's got makeup on, and he's reading to a group of little babies, like I don't know, 5-year-olds, at the Michelle Obama Library in Long Beach, California. Now, I'm the guy that sent that to InfoWars, and then they put it on their website and promoted that this was going on, that the Michelle Obama Library in Long Beach had some dude who I investigated and found out that this man is an actual drug addict prostitute. Okay? So I don't, I had his information. I don't remember his name and all that kind of stuff. But I went and looked up who he was, and I found out who he was, and I had his Facebook page, and I know he was from Sacramento, and Sacramento is the capital of California, and right down the street from Sacramento is a drag queen or a drag where they perform drag shows right next to the state government. Now, so the man who was at the Michelle Obama Library in Long Beach, California, that was the first article. This is like the number one, the first article that the Alex Jones InfoWars group did on what's called Drag Queen Story Hour. The first article they did was sent to them by me. I sent it to them. I sent them that article. And I didn't, I wasn't the first one to get the article, but I sent it to them and they put on their show, and I was like, yay, I did something good. I got the information to InfoWars and they promoted it. And then they have a big, they have a big platform. They have a big audience. So then millions of people saw that. Right. And that started a whole thing of like, what the hell is this? Right. Now, when that happened initially, I called the Long Beach Police Department because you have to understand something, is that sexual harassment is an actual thing. And so, like, let's say you in California, for instance, you can sue people for sexual harassment in a workplace environment. Outside of a workplace environment, I don't know. I don't know that you can sue people outside of a workplace environment for that. I don't know what the laws are, but I'll tell you what, they're pretty weak. They're pretty weak. And when I called the Long Beach Police Department after I'd seen that there was a man who was a actual, I'm not just like calling him names. He was an actual prostitute. Okay, that's a male prostitute and an actual drug addict. And I even know what types of drugs he takes. Okay, he takes a drug called ketamine, and he takes other drugs like crystal meth. And but ketamine is a big one among this group of people. Ketamine is the drug that they're into. It's like a cult. It's like a cult. Okay, it's a cult, and they take ketamine, and they like to dress up like they do and take ketamine. It's a cult, and they wear demon horns because a lot of their what do you call it? Sorry, I'm tired. I didn't even know I was going to be going live. They wear demon horns because a lot of what they promote and the kind of stuff that they're into has to do with Satanism and horror movies. You got to understand, I haven't spent a lot of time investigating these people, but enough because I don't enjoy finding out about them. I only do it as a necessity, right? They have to be looked at. And so I only looked at them enough to so I could see what their motivations are. So one of the things that they are into, this group of people, this cult, is that they're into horror movies. Movies about people being chopped up and murdered and killed, okay? So it's that, along with cross-dressing, and along with homosexuality, is what this particular cult is involved with. This is who they have reading to the little kids, the 5-year-olds. And then they bring their kid, the parents who are into this kind of stuff, bring their little babies to it because it's not Christian to do, and they hate Christianity, which is another story. Have I explained to you what my views on Christianity? I'll tell you what. When I listen to Christianity preachers on the radio, it's really revolting. I think because we live in a society that's controlled by a higher cult, that then they have the cults that they support, which are the cross-dressers and the Satanists and the child abusers and the prostitution rings. That's all sponsored by the philanthropic societies, which include groups like the Rockefeller Fund and Bill Gates Fund and the Carnegie Fund and the Annenbergs, big Republicans, Rockefellers, Annenbergs, Gates, right? PBS. You ever listen to PBS? You're like, what is this left-wing garbage? Oh, it's just all funded by the Republican Party. It's funded by the Republican Party. Donald Trump met with the Annenbergs when he was campaigning the first time. He met with them. I know because I was listening to the Michael Savage show, and he talked about that he was meeting with them. And Michael Savage said, "Oh yes, I know them. They're good folks." The Annenbergs. The Annenbergs, just so you know, sponsored Obama in Chicago, and Bill Ayers, who attacked the Pentagon. I'm telling you the truth, man. I'm telling you the truth. Did I tell you that I worship the truth? Did I tell you that I have a project called the Church of America where we worship the truth? Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, defunding the police, right? So I called the police and I said, "Hey, there's a pervert like at the library, the Michelle Obama Library in Long Beach. Oh, really? Why are you calling us? Are you some kind of bigot?" That's basically the response I got from the police department. You gotta understand something. Any institution in the United States is going to be run by people that are forced, whether they want to or not, to implement what I just described to you. That's what they're going to be forced to implement because it all comes down from Washington, D.C. Now, what would be a better form of government? Okay, here we go. Guess what? We're overthrowing the government. We're overthrowing the government. Here's my plan, all right? My plan is this. We're going to have state representatives. We're going to elect state representatives. Okay? We're going to have what's called the Confederacy. We're going to have Confederate flags. We're going to have Confederate flags, and we're going to be the Confederacy, and we're going to have a federation of free states. This is nothing against black people. I have black customers that are, I'm going to tell you right now, these are the nicest people and the most generous people I have worked for in the longest time. I have nothing against black people at all. I mean, some of them are annoying, and some white people are annoying. But I'm just saying, I'm kind of into racialism as far as like, I like the white race. I like our history and our heritage and our culture and all of our European. I like our Europeanism. But when it comes to like not liking other people, I really there's nobody I don't like. I don't like people interfering in our stuff. But when I say Confederate, I'm not talking about slavery. Slavery is bullshit, dude. Slavery is bullshit. But guess what? My family, I'll tell you about my racial background, okay? So on my father's side, it's Irish Catholic and French Catholic from Massachusetts. On my mother's side, it's Germanic, like Dutch, Protestant, Dutch, Germanic farming people. Neither group had slaves. My family didn't have slaves. No, nobody in my family had slaves. You know why we had slaves in America? Because of the sugar business. The sugar business, which was monopolized by, I can't even say their names, the hexagram people. Am I supposed to call them that? The sugar business was monopolized by the hexagram people in the 17th century, which means the 1600s. And guess who else was involved in that? The Jesuits. The Jesuits and the hexagram people together with the Freemasons. Oh, okay. Those are the slave masters. And they still are today. But guess who wasn't? Guess who didn't have slaves? My family. My great grandfather was a school teacher in a small town in Massachusetts. So there you go. And on my mother's side, they were farmers. They grew food. They grow food. That's what they did. That's it. But we're talking about defunding the police. So yeah. Oh no, we're talking about overthrowing the U.S. government. That's what we're talking about. That needs to happen. So what we're going to do is instead of having the U.S. government, we're going to dissolve that shit. And we're going to have a federation of free states, and we're going to have Confederate battle flags. And what we're going to do, and swastikas. And what we're going to do is we are going to, and crosses. We're going to have Confederate battle flags, crosses, and swastikas. And what we're going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to elect local representatives in our states. Okay. So the states are going to, we're going to elect state legislatures. So like in the state government, right? Let's say you have, like here in California, there's Sacramento, right? And there's a state government. So the people in California or in Texas or Arizona or Nevada or Oklahoma or wherever, Oregon, wherever you are, okay, your state, you're going to elect representatives that represent you in your state that are from your town. They have to be from your town, and you have to actually know these people, right? They're not just some random fucking, sorry for the F, not some just random guy that like came in, he's like sponsored by George Soros or something, right? No. It's a guy that's from your town that you know, and he represents you for your area, right? And he lives in your town. You can go to his house. Okay? Now, out of those people, right, they're going to have local governments and they're going to have the state government. And then we got 50 states in America. Okay? We got the 50 United States. So then out of those 50 United States, we're going to have a federation. We're going to make a federation of states. But instead of electing somebody that's going to go to D.C. out of the blue, it's going to be somebody that's in our government locally. So it's going to be a local person in the government. They're going to go represent us in a federal system. They're going to, because all the states are going to combine for a what do you call it, like because the idea of a federal government is that you have all the states combining in a common cause of defense. That's the purpose of federal government: common defense and common currency and common commerce. So it's a commercial group. So you'll have all the states are going to form into a commercial common commerce and defense. And then so what'll happen is we elect a governor in our states, right? So the governors will take turns being president. We won't have any more presidential elections. We don't need them. The governors will take turns being president. And the state representatives will take turns, not take turns. Out of the state representatives, we'll pick somebody, we'll pick one of those representatives to go to, not Washington, D.C., because Washington, D.C. is going to be dissolved. We could make it in Philadelphia since that's the original place. Let's call it Philadelphia for now. We're gonna send them to Philadelphia, which is where the capital is, in Philadelphia, not in Washington, D.C., which is, I don't know, some land owned by the Pope. But instead, we'll send them to Philadelphia, which is land owned by us, the Americans. And we will we'll send them to Philadelphia, and then they'll work over there to make laws that benefit the states. Oh, benefit the states and the people that live in America? Oh my God. Oh my God. What a novel idea. So yeah. And then we'll just have the governors take turns being president. Who cares, right? Who cares? Right? And how much power are they going to have? They're going to have the power to execute the law. So they'll go there to execute the law. If they don't do that, they'll be removed and we'll put somebody else in. It's that simple. Right? Look, you're going to go there to execute the law that we've all come up with, and as long as you're doing that, then you're there for a little time. You're there for a short time, and then it's first it's Bob, and then it's Joe, and then it's Steve, and then it's Edwin, and then it's whatever. It's people take turns. The governors take turns being president of the United States of America. So we don't need presidential elections. We don't need congressional elections. We don't need senatorial elections because those are all just people that come from the states that are sent to Philadelphia, which is the capital in Philadelphia. Now I know that they moved it to Georgetown University. I mean Washington D.C. Sorry, did I say Georgetown University? That was a mistake. I didn't mean Georgetown University, which is a Jesuit school, and the land's all owned by the Pope and Bishop Carroll that my friend Jordan Maxwell told me about. I didn't mean that. I mean, what am I talking about? Oh, defunding the police, right. So, the Founding Fathers of America said that we all have certain inalienable rights, which are called natural rights. Natural rights, which come from God, which can't be taken away. Well, which can't be given to us by man and can't be taken away from us by man because they're natural. They come from God. So, like, let me give you an example. Let's say you're on a deserted island and there's only you and one other person. And you brought, I don't know, you brought something with you. You brought some luggage. You brought a lighter, a cigarette lighter. You have a cigarette lighter. And the other guy brought, what did he bring? He brought a cell phone. It's on a deserted island. You got a cigarette lighter. He's got a cell phone. Now, there's no legal system on this deserted island, right? However, you know that the lighter that you brought belongs to you. And the cell phone that he brought belongs to him. It's his property. Now, how do you know that? Who says that it's his? Who says this is his and this is yours and this is mine and that's yours? Who says that? Where does that come from? That comes from God. It's natural. It's innate. It doesn't come from anywhere else, right? This is mine and that's yours, right? This isn't something that somebody can give you. This is innate. These are innate rights. These are natural rights. That's what America is based on. It's based on the concept of natural rights. This is something that was born out of the contemplation of God by people in Western Europe. It was born out of the contemplation of God by people in Western Europe. And this is what they came up with. And it resulted in the United States of America, which has been totally destroyed. It's been completely destroyed. It's just, it barely exists. It barely exists. There's a remnant of us. So what do we need the police for? I can't remember. Oh, because they protect. Okay, let me ask you a question. If there was no police, would there be graffiti in your neighborhood? If there was no police, would there be prostitution in your neighborhood? If there was no police, would there be gangs in your neighborhood? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on where you live. Depends on where you live, because different people have different tolerances for crime. And when I mean crime, I mean not necessarily what the state says is a crime, but what the population considers to be a crime, what the people around there consider to be wrong, morally wrong, spiritually wrong, ethically wrong, however you want to put it. Wrong thing to do. Don't do that. So now, if you live in an area where you have zero tolerance, let's say you have zero tolerance for graffiti, people spray painting on the walls. And not only you, but let's say 90% or 90, let's say it's 98%. Let's say 98% of the people in a town have exactly zero tolerance for anyone defacing property in that town. Do you think the property is going to get defaced? No. Why? And it's not because there's cops to do it, but because the people themselves will stop you, right? population itself will stop you from damaging property because they think it's wrong. They'll say it's wrong. They say you can't do that. And if you do that, we're going to stop you. We're going to physically stop you from doing that. Right? If you have a spray can in your hand and you're spraying a wall, somebody is going to physically stop you from spraying on the wall. Why? Because this is their neighborhood and they don't want it to look like shit. Right? What do the police have to do with that? Well, maybe it's illegal for you to physically stop someone from doing that. Now you have the introduction of the police. So what do the police do? Well, they say, you can't stop him from doing that. Yes, I know he's doing a crime, but that doesn't mean that you get to just come over here. That's what the police do. The police are there to interfere with what people demand. Now, there's different types of people that have different types of tolerances for shitty behavior. And it's not necessarily based on race. And I want to make that clear because I have to tell you something. I've been critical of black people in the past, but I have some of the nicest, most respectable people that I've ever known. I think the Black Lives Matter movement in general has really damaged the reputation of black people. I think that MTV and the whole gangster rap movement has damaged the reputation of black people in America tremendously. I think that's been really, really bad for their reputation. And I think that, you know, when Obama got elected, I was very disturbed by that because I do consider America a white country founded by white people from Europe, because it was. But I always had a respect for black people and wanted them to do well among us white folks. But when Obama got elected, I was just like, oh man, this isn't going to be good. This isn't good for America. This isn't good for anybody. And I remember I was doing a job, and I told the guy that I was working for, I go, I can't finish this. I just went home. I just left and went home and just was depressed. And that Barack Obama did more to damage race relations than any other president that I can think of in my lifetime. And then since then, it's only gotten worse. The Black Lives Matter movement made it worse. Now, who supported the Black Lives Matter movement? The Pope Francis, and the Anti-Defamation League. And so Pope Francis is a Jesuit. The Anti-Defamation League is the Hexagram group. Who else supported it? Pretty much just that. And the philanthropic societies. They used that to overthrow Trump's white supremacy movement. But if you notice, Trump, I would say Trump is a white supremacist. I would say Trump is like the I would say Trump embodies white supremacy. He's got red hair. He's white. He's got all the mannerisms of a like authentic white guy, and he's just like, make America great. You know, that's white supremacy. He's just like oozing white supremacy, right? Donald Trump. And did you notice that Donald Trump respects black people? Did you notice that? Did you notice that he actually likes them? He actually likes them. He actually likes white people. He actually likes black people. He actually does. I know he does. I just know he does because I know how he thinks. I can see it in his behavior. He actually does like them. That's the thing about it. He actually likes Mike Tyson. That's like he was in the boxing world when Mike Tyson was back in the 1980s. Mike Tyson and George Foreman and Holyfield, some really great fighters. you notice, a lot of them fought at the Trump Hotel in New Jersey, in Atlantic City. Anyway, it's another story. So anyway, defund the police. Why do we need police? Do we need police? What do we need them for? I don't know. I guess okay, here's the thing. If you're living in an area where there's a lot of violent criminals, then you think you need the police. Or how about just keep those people out of your neighborhood? Well, who's going to keep them out? Well, you are. You and all your friends and all your neighbors are going to keep them out. See, it's almost like the police are a substitute for you and your neighbors keeping them out. It starts with hiring security, right? So you live in an area where you're like, we need to keep all the riffraff out, so we'll hire security. Well, that's what police are. They're hired security. They're hired security. But then when the hired security takes orders from people who say, white people are bad, that's the Anti-Defamation League. They train the police officers. White people are bad. They're dangerous. They need to be stopped. All the non-white people are good. That's what the Anti-Defamation League says, because they're at a war. They're in a big war with anyone who's white. The Anti-Defamation League says that trans kids are good and that they should be protected, and that we need to promote transsexual children, and that men having like two guys adopting a baby or buying a baby, not even adopting, but just purchasing from a woman who gives birth, as the baby exits the womb, it's handed over to two homosexual men. That's good, according to the Anti-Defamation League. They promote that. And so when that's the culture, the police work for them. So defund the police. Simple as that. What do you need police for if they're going to enforce that? When the big thing happened that I'm not allowed to say the words of, where the thing happened, where it was like real big and there were lockdowns. Remember the lockdowns? Well, who was enforcing the lockdowns? Who was stopping people from going to the beach? Remember that? You couldn't go to the beach. I do, because I went to Huntington Beach. And there was a huge protest there with like a lot of people, and the police showed up. They had the beaches cordoned off. You couldn't go to the beach. You couldn't go out on the sand and jump in the ocean. Remember that? Well, that was the police doing that. They did it in San Clemente, and they did it in Huntington Beach, and they did it all over the beach. There was no going to the beach. You couldn't go to the beach, man. Or risk arrest. Really? So, defund the police. Now, I just happened to notice that the Huntington Beach Police Department took their picture with Anti-Defamation League and Orange County Sheriff's Department, both organizations which I contacted and said, "Hey, there's this thing called the mafia. You ever heard of the mafia? You ever heard of organized crime? You ever heard of organized crime? Because you're taking pictures with people." Now you got to understand something. I've investigated organized crime quite thoroughly, so I know a lot about it. And in organized crime, not all the people in organized crime are doing crime. Some of them have legitimate businesses. In fact, a lot of the businesses run by organized crime are legitimate businesses. So there's a whole network of legitimate businesses that they run. But that doesn't mean they're not involved in organized crime. So what happens is the mafia, also known as the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, which is the mafia, sends, what do they do? They send like marketing. What do they do? They send like ambassadors, like representatives. They send a representative to the Orange County Sheriff's Department or the Irvine Police Department or some other police department or the Huntington Beach Police Department. And the representative, or the Joint Terrorism Task Force for California. And this representative works for the mafia. So he works for the mafia, works for organized crime. These are people that are involved in genocide, people that are involved in drug trafficking, people that are involved in human trafficking, people that are involved in child trafficking, people that are involved in actual words. I'm not even going to use the words. It has to do with kids, little kids. They're involved in all that because they use that to blackmail people, and they use it to blackmail them, and they got them. They got the politician, they got the whoever they need. That's what they do. That's what they do. It's called the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith. And if you go to their website, they promote books for kids, 0 to 5, about being gay, having two dads. And it's a loving relationship with their two dads. It's the Anti-Defamation League. That's what they do. That's what they're into. The Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith. So you call the police and you say, hey, you guys know you're like connected to the mafia? They're like, this is anti-Semitism or something. They don't want to talk about it, dude. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't know. But here's the problem. They don't even know what's going on, right? They don't even know what's going on. So you talk to them and you go, hey, you got your chief of police meeting with the mafia. Did you know that? They're like, sir, do you have information? You have proof of any of this? Or blah, blah, blah. They don't even know they have no idea what's happening. That's part of the problem. They don't understand what's going on. They really don't. And you can try and explain it to them, but the thing is because of their brainwashing, the more you explain, like the more you talk, you're like going on and on about all the stuff that you know. What happens is it triggers this thing in their mind where they don't understand. So they think all they know is they've been taught about the Holocaust. So they're like, this sounds like the Holocaust. And this person must be part of the group that did the Holocaust. And that's what happens in their brains or their mind, or wherever it happens. So they get scared. They don't know what's going on. They just know that they heard about this and this is all scary because they saw a movie by Steven Spielberg. So it's kind of like you're like they aren't people that you can talk to. They have no idea what's going on. And it's so outside. Like the average police officer, it's like a security guard. A police officer is basically like a security guard. And so they don't really know a whole lot about a whole lot of stuff. They got a job as a security guard that can kill people. So like they're a security guard that can kill you. All right. They don't know anything else. They just know they got told this or that. And, if you don't comply, you're going to get your fucking ass kicked and probably shot. Okay. So just shut the fuck up. Sorry for all the F's, but that's how they think. I'm thinking like a cop, okay? And let me tell you this. The customers that I really like, he was a police officer. I've got another customer that was a police officer. Very, very, very nice people. Very good people. But that doesn't mean that they know everything. It just means they're nice people. It just means they're nice people and they just, they're just the normal guy. They're a normal guy with a job. Security guard. Security guard with a good pension and with a license to kill people who don't comply. Right? That's all they do. They're just, hey, look, I got this job. If you don't comply, you're going to get fucked up. Okay? Just do what I say. That's a police officer. I can't blame them. I can't But we're talking about defunding. Defunding the police. This is a left-wing talking point, and I'm saying we should embrace it. We should embrace it. Embrace it. Why? Because what we have to have going forward is not this idea that we're all in this together. Remember, that was a big line of the pandemic thing. We're all in this together. We're not in this together, because I'm not in anything with you, because I think you're fucking stupid. Okay, so I'm not in anything with you. I think you're an idiot, and I don't want to be part of anything that you're doing. You get it? So we're not in this together, because I'm not in anything with you. I'm not in anything with what you're doing or any of your plans or any of the stuff that you have planned for the future. We're in separate things. We're not in stuff together, right? This whole thing that we're all in this together, this is called totalitarianism. We're all in this together, bro. No, we're not. We're not, though. I'm not in anything with you. You and I are not in stuff together. Okay? If you're not doing what I like to do, if you're not into what I want to do, then we're not in anything together. Get it? Right? If you don't agree with me, then we're not in stuff together, because I don't agree with you. So we're not doing stuff together. That's what I'm saying. We're not in anything together. We're not. So basically there's this idea of partisanship, right? Our police, our troops. Well, our troops would mean troops that you have some influence over. If they're your troops, support our troops. Support our police. Our. This word our and we, right? It's used by people like Kamala Harris. It's used by people like Joe Biden. It's used by people like Chuck Schumer. It's used by people like Jamie Raskin. Our, we. There is no our. There is no we. I'm not in anything with you. You and I are not in something together. That's the whole point. So our police would be my police and your police. My troops and your troops. Are they the same troops? They're not. They're not. They're not the same, because my troops or my police would agree with me. They would agree with what I want to do, what I think is correct, what I think is right, what I think is just, what laws I agree with. Now, laws are formed by the people, supposedly, but if you have a group of billionaires who are buying the politicians to write the laws, then they make the laws, and then the police follow those laws, and so they serve them. But it's not an us situation. It's not our police. It's their police. It's their laws. It's their police. It's their troops. And so it's not an our thing. Now the idea of a democracy is it's supposed to be like everybody gets a say, everybody gets to contribute. But they don't really want that. They don't really want that. They don't really want that. So then that's not what we're really doing. So if that's not what we're really doing, then go ahead and defund them. Go ahead and defund the troops. Go ahead and defund the police. Go ahead and defund it all, because it's not an our thing. We're not in something together. If we're going to be in anything together, the only thing I'm going to agree to is something that's based in natural rights, which is what the founding fathers of America believed in. That's what I believe in. So if you don't believe in that, then we don't believe in the same thing. We don't believe in the same thing at all, actually. In fact, we're not the same people. We're not the same culture. We're not the same anything. And in fact, we have nothing in common, and we're not part of anything together. You see, if you don't believe in free speech, absolute free speech, anyone can say anything at any time. There's no danger in that, ever. Because let's say there is somebody who intends to do violence and they say something, right? Well, you just heard them say it. So now you can defend yourself, right? The whole idea is the people who are against free speech, which is the Anti-Defamation League, the people that sponsor them, is that they don't want people speaking out against them and their plans and what they're doing, and they have a lot of money to back, these groups that are against free speech. So they're just against them. So all those groups are just working for them. But that's not me. That's not me. That's not anyone I care about, actually. So it's not me personally. It's not any of my friends that I've ever talked to. And it's not against anybody I care about. I don't care about your future if you're against free speech. If you oppose free speech, I don't care about your future. I only care about the future of people that care about free speech. I only care about people who care about natural rights. If you don't care about natural rights, if you don't care about free speech, I don't care about you. I don't care what happens to you. I don't care about anything because I can't worry about you because you're not part of my group. I'm an American, you see, and Americans believe in natural rights. If you don't believe in that, then we're not part of the same thing. We're not doing the same thing. And whatever you're doing, I don't want it to survive. So I don't care what happens to you. I only care about what happens to me and the people that I care about. You understand that? So only people that care about free speech are the only people I care about. That's it. Free speech, freedom of association, the right to bear arms, right? Those are the only people that I care about. I don't care about anybody else. And it's not that I want anything bad to happen to you, but if something bad happens to you, it's not my problem because you're not on my group. And it's unfortunate that something bad happened to you, but what am I supposed to do? You're not part of my group. We're not trying to perpetuate you. We're trying to perpetuate us. We are the Americans. We believe in natural rights. We're the ones we're trying to perpetuate, not you, right? If you believe in totalitarianism, if you believe we're all in this together, we all have to submit to your fucking bullshit, we're not in this together. So who are the police? The police are whoever we say they are. The police are whoever we're funding. We, the Americans. So we should defund your police and only fund our police. Of course, our police, how much policing do we really need? Right? If I'm elected president of the Confederate States of America, I'm going to subsidize your, how about we just have a pool, we pool the money in, and everybody gets ammo, and everybody gets a rifle and a pistol, as long as you're loyal and law-abiding. That means you're not using it to commit crimes. You're not using it to commit robberies or carry out unnecessary violence. Then you can have a gun. You can have ammo. You can have all that stuff. Because you're an American. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with that. How much police do we need? Do we need police, or do we need Americans who have no tolerance for criminality? Why don't we just arm those people, right? We got a border situation, right? Oh, the drugs are flowing over the border. Imagine that. Imagine that. Drugs are flowing over the border. Well, that's because the mafia runs Washington, D.C. I know that. All these mafia movies that they made back in the 50s and the 40s, they were all about stuff that was actually all the stuff. Okay, they made these mafia movies, right? A lot of them back in the 50s. One was called the Chicago Syndicate. Another one was called something else. I don't know. Can't remember all the names. But they're all about drug trafficking and narcotics trafficking and how you setting up these groups in Washington, D.C. to go after them. Here's the secret. It was run by Washington, D.C. That's the secret. That's the secret. It's run by Washington, D.C. The drug trafficking is run by Washington, D.C. The mafia runs Washington, D.C. They got control of it through I don't know. It's run by Washington, D.C. That's what happened. That's what happened. And then they set up these agencies. And at one time, they had good guys joining these agencies to become police. But what they didn't know is they fill these agencies with the police to go after the drug problem or the whatever, or the mafia problems, the organized crime. But just right above them was the mafia. So the mafia was recruiting the cops to go after the mafia and making sure that they didn't really stop the people that needed to be stopped, so that it actually enabled the mafia. That's how it happened. I can go into more of that in another video because we're closing this one out. So I'll just summarize it with this. What happened was with the mafia, when you watch all these mafia movies, especially the ones, you got to understand. Let me explain something to you. The movie business was run by the Washington, D.C. Okay. The movie business in Hollywood was sponsored by Washington, D.C. That's why they had so much money to make all these movies. It was all just propaganda of Washington, D.C. They made movies about narcotics trafficking and going after the gangs and going after the mafia and the crime syndicates and all this kind of stuff. But what you don't understand is that the mafia was running it all the whole time. And they had a system where the mafia recruited the cops through Washington, D.C., and then the lower level mafia was being monitored by the police so that they controlled the police that was controlling the mafia from above. So it was like three layers: mafia on top, police in the middle, and then the mafia on the bottom. That's why the police lost that battle. That's why the police completely lost. That's why the U.S. is flooded with fentanyl. That doesn't mean the guys that joined the forces, the police forces in Washington, D.C. or locally, doesn't mean they were wrong or that they didn't care or they weren't doing their job. It's that they were doing it, but they were controlled by people above them that were running it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll end up on that.